13-year-old Masha constantly ran to the toilet, and my stepfather was smiling strangely. Her mother brought her to the hospital. The doctors were speechless. This can't be happening, Irina Gennadyevna thought to herself as she began to notice more and more oddities in her daughter. Masha had been locking herself in the bathroom too often lately. Where did the characteristic sounds come from, which were simply impossible to confuse with anything? The mother did not dare to talk openly with her daughter. I was afraid to hear the terrible truth, but she couldn't let the situation take its course any further. Disturbing thoughts came to her more and more often. And Irina just couldn't and didn't want to believe that all this was happening to her. "My God, Vitya," she wailed when she was having tea with her best friend once again. "Anyone," and I shared my suspicions with her. "I thought he was so good, kind, caring, perfect. I thought I was finally lucky. After many years of living with this scumbag, I found a decent man. What about him? Seduced my Masha on the sly from me. And she, my poor girl, she was just afraid to tell me everything. What am I supposed to do now? What should I do? You can't install cameras all over the apartment. This is too much." Irina Gennadyevna's ex-husband was really a complete scumbag. There was no other word to describe his behavior, which in recent years has been so disgusting that the woman has increasingly been thinking about getting a divorce. And when did he become like this? She reasoned, sitting in the kitchen with the same Lubachka, who sincerely sympathized with her friend, but did not even know what to advise her. She herself has never been married, and I've never wanted to go there. They're all the same, sighed Lubov, who preferred to learn from others. Mistakes, not their own. On the one hand, if it's come to this, then you need to get a divorce. On the other hand, your daughter is growing up. She has nothing left until she comes of age. Why don't you wait? You can't do a man. And if you bring someone else into the house, it can be even worse. It is not known what to expect from him. And so at least the father is native. But you're yelling and shouting. You never know. It doesn't happen to anyone. I've never even gotten around to physical abuse. Maybe she'll continue to be patient and fall in love." By just nothing, Luba meant 5 whole years, which was an eternity for Irina Gennadyevna, who was already quite tired of the constant showdown with her husband. And it wouldn't matter if Nikolai at least worked and brought at least some money into the house. But no, he was actually sitting on his wife. Snack, hiding behind the fact that, in his opinion, he was very actively helping Irina with the upbringing of her daughter. "Judge for yourself who will grow up with us if she already allows herself such quirks." I was indignant. A man who, about half an hour before his wife returned from work, severely scolded his daughter for wearing too bright lipstick and revealing attire. "You're always stuck in your office. Am I supposed to watch all this in silence? How is my daughter turning into a yard girl? And after all this, you still dare to say that I'm a bad father? You're the disgusting mother. What kind of example do you set for Masha? She's not 18 yet, and she's already coming home at who knows what time. She's also all dressed up. What's next? Early pregnancy? That's it, and it will bring us in the hem from no one knows who. We must urgently take the strictest measures. And if I said that she would stay at home, so he'll stay at home. I am the father, the head of the family, and my daughter must obey me." In fact, Nikolai didn't give a damn about Masha, as well as the fact that lately the girl really went overboard. The man arranged all these scandals and showdowns solely to distract his eyes. He had to do something to show that he was doing the family good. Here, the daughter is raising, while Irina is working hard at work. Only Masha couldn't stand her dad, and every night she cried on her mother's shoulder because of his insults, which annoyed Irina even more, who was already very tired of the constant family squabbles. Any patience comes to an end, and Irina's was not unlimited either. The moment came when the woman realized that she could no longer put up with a lazy, arrogant husband who drove both her and her daughter to the white knee. "Yes, Masha will get a deal if I'm not around," the man shouted confidently. When his wife told him that she wanted to get a divorce, "You can't raise her or control her. You have a job. Damn it! And you can't swim with your daughter. I can't even imagine what will happen to her." "I'll figure it out somehow without you," Irina snapped, who was barely restraining herself from slapping the faithful in the face. "So I got it. I'm so sick of it that I didn't have any more strength." Irina really hoped that Nikolai would disappear from their lives after the divorce, and she won't insist on communicating with her daughter. And her dream came true. After the couple separated, the man seemed to forget that he once had a family, which once again proved Irina's point. Nikolai didn't give a damn about his daughter. He didn't even ask once. "How's Masha doing?" There was no need to talk about alimony at all, and Irina wasn't expecting them, even though Luba said that the black sheep had at least a tuft of wool. She did not file a lawsuit. "To hell with him," she waved it away. "Let him live as he knows. The main thing is not to mess with us. My daughter and I suffered a lot from him. I won't let him near Masha anymore, even if he wants to. I didn't have enough of all these scandals and showdowns after the divorce. I'm so fed up with them." Irina found a replacement for Nikolai very quickly. Luba was right when she said that her friend wouldn't be able to live without a man for a long time. Especially when Victor met on her way. He was so polite and courteous, and he's also very wealthy. How can you resist this? The day they met, Irina's car broke down, and she was forced to wait for technical assistance right on the road. Seeing a single woman who had already been nearly swept away by traffic several times, Victor couldn't help but stop. "You should at least put up a sign," he chuckled. "Just a little more, and you'll just be demolished here." "You can't do that." "What are you? Let me help you." Irina readily agreed, and in the evening they were sitting in an expensive restaurant and talking about life. By his 40s, Victor had never been married. Somehow it didn't add up. "I have not yet met the woman who could conquer me," he joked. One word at a time. Irina, who had already experienced all the hardships of marriage, also opened up. She couldn't even imagine falling in love with Victor so much, and Irina hadn't been out of his head since their first meeting on the road. She behaved so ridiculously feminine that Victor wanted to take care of Irina and warm her up, which he did after a very short time, when he realized that Irina was the woman who, compared to the others, was too deeply embedded in his heart. "Oh, my friend," Luba sighed when Irina announced that she was getting married. "Aren't you in a hurry? I've only dealt with Nikolai, and you're already diving headlong into a new pool. And how does Masha feel about your admirer? Do they even get along? If you're still..." "Of course, I haven't forgotten, but you have a daughter. and you'll have to consider her interests. Masha had absolutely nothing to do with her mother's affairs. The girl had her own problems. Due to constant nervous stress, she gained a lot of weight. This was the reason for the constant ridicule and bullying from classmates. The girl has never had any authority in school. And after, she changed a lot in appearance, so in general, the guys didn't miss a single opportunity to sarcastically tease Masha, who took their words too personally. "She'll be like a bun soon." Classmates laughed. "He won't get through the door. You'll have to arrange it." "Masha, come on, lose weight. Otherwise, your parents will go broke on the renovation of the school when you knocked down all the door jambs." Gradually, the girl withdrew into herself. She did not tell her mother about the problems at school. And Irina was so carried away by her relationship with Victor that she completely did not notice what was happening to her daughter. And she didn't want to pay attention to Masha, perceiving her as a sliced slice. Luba was right about something. A few more years and the girl will grow up completely, stop needing the support of her parents, and begin to build her own independent life. Irina dreamed of new heirs. She was still relatively young. And Victor didn't have any children of his own at all. He didn't know what a father's happiness was. And when I finally met a decent woman on my way, for the first time in many years, I seriously thought about it. And now that Irina had some bad suspicions, all her plans for the future could collapse. The poor woman couldn't wrap her head around everything that was happening. "Well, how is that, Lubin?" she lamented. "Really? Did I fall in love with a scumbag?" Irina rummaged through all of Victor and her daughter's belongings, hoping to find at least some evidence of her suspicions. Even the footprints from the sheets, carefully collected on a cotton swab, were taken to the laboratory. Luba found it all funny. "Do you really think that if your guesses are true, they do it at home?" She grinned. "Well, where else is it?" Irina exclaimed. "He's not taking her to a hotel, is he?" "Vithya is at work all day, but sometimes he comes home during breaks. He has his own business, unlike me, and that's enough time to, well, you know that." While Irina was conducting her own investigation, Masha's condition was deteriorating. Every morning, a girl. She locked herself in the bathroom, where she spent about half an hour. And when she came out, a peculiar smell, which could not be suppressed even with an air freshener, spread through the apartment, which aroused suspicion not only from Irina, but also from Victor. "What's wrong with her? What is it?" he asked excitedly. Could she have been poisoned by something? The relationship between stepdaughter and stepfather was difficult to call confidential, but there were no conflicts between them either. Victor was eager to talk to Masha, but his wife besieged him. Irina didn't understand what was going on at all, and her husband's concern for the girl's fate only increased her suspicions. In the end, the woman finally decided to take Masha to the doctor. "If she's pregnant, then I'll find out about it anyway," she sighed, when she once again shared her feelings with anyone. "Oh my God, what a horror it all is. I'm so scared. I'm afraid to face the truth. And if it's confirmed, what does it mean? My husband knocked up my daughter. It's a damn article. And how am I? Will I live with all this? It's such a shame. Oh my God, I just can't stand it. How is that?" Irina was tormented by a deep sense of guilt. Where did she miss her daughter? "I didn't understand at first. And then, when I analyzed my life, I realized that I got carried away too much. Victor insisted that he and Masha move in with him. But Irina, she categorically refused. She was much more comfortable in her apartment. And Masha didn't want to move anywhere. She has a school and friends here, and he made concessions. Although I felt very uncomfortable because I was forced to live in my wife's square. How perfect he seemed to her, and very soon this illusion could to be destroyed. Before going to the doctor, Masha resisted in every possible way. Irina could hardly hold back tears at night. I was afraid that Victor would suspect something ahead of time, and she didn't want to be questioned by him. So it was with great difficulty that her daughter was persuaded to undergo an examination and take tests. Irina had to go to all sorts of tricks to get Masha to see a doctor. "What's all this for, Mom?" The girl was indignant. "These examinations have given up on me. We recently went to school. I'm all right." Of course, Masha was lying. But Irina couldn't verify that. She hasn't attended parent-teacher conferences in a long time. And I didn't really follow my daughter. There didn't seem to be any problems. The teacher was not called in. They didn't complain about Masha's behavior, and that was enough to keep turning a blind eye to what was happening in a teenager's life. When X day arrived, Irina was already prepared for the worst. Mentally adjusted. And after waiting for Masha to come out of the bathroom, where, as usual, she spent about half an hour, she reminded her daughter that they were going to the doctor today. "Come on, hurry up," Irina exclaimed. "I still have to get to work." Victor had already left home by that time. The man had an important meeting that day. So when Irina woke up, he was gone. As it turned out, this is even for the best. She didn't choose the day on purpose, but I was glad that everything turned out that way, because she didn't want her husband to know about her daughter's visit to the doctor. He'll start asking questions, and Irina doesn't know what to answer. Surely she couldn't tell him about her suspicions directly. What would it look like? "I think you're sleeping with my daughter. Or you're having an affair." Come on, nonsense. Irina tried her best to banish these thoughts from herself. But I was finally convinced of that her suspicions were wrong only after the doctor made a much more terrible diagnosis than the alleged pregnancy, which made Irina's hair stand on end. Yes, and Masha burst into tears and ran out of the office, and the mother had no choice but to follow her. "My God, my daughter, how is that?" Irina wailed, hugging Masha tightly to her sobbing body. She herself couldn't believe what she had heard from the doctor. "Bulimia. What the hell kind of bulimia does my girl have?" Irina sobbed. When she told her friend about the results of the examination, the doctor said that it makes her feel so bad all the time. Allegedly, the food is not digested, and it is eliminated from the body almost immediately in a natural way. And also, that my Manuni has serious mental problems. It's all my fault. I overlooked it. I missed it. God. What's going to happen to my poor girl now? What kind of fate awaits her after all this? Irina Gennadyevna was restless. The woman was very ashamed that she suspected her husband. It wasn't Victor's fault. And she, like a spy, scoured his underwear, trying to find at least some evidence of intimacy with her daughter. But it turned out, that's it. Masha is ill. and she's seriously ill. And how all this will end is unknown. The doctor said that she needs to be urgently admitted to the hospital. Irina continued to wail. Only. Now, crying on Victor's shoulder. And if they don't help her? If it's my girl? Lord. I'm afraid to even think about it. What a horror. And why exactly did everything fall on my head? These monstrous trials? What have I done wrong? What should I do now? Victor tried to calm Irina down as best he could. He decided to talk to Masha about everything himself. There must be some reason why such a pretty girl would push herself like that. He reasoned. It didn't just come out of the blue. All these thoughts about losing weight and complexes. Someone suggested them to her. So, we need to figure everything out. What the hell difference does it make who told her what? Irina did not calm down. Even if. So, what does it matter? My girl is seriously ill. Do you understand this or not? And more. It is unknown how all this will turn out, affect her psyche. And if they can't cure her, what then? A mental hospital? And to hell with my Manny's whole future. It's a lifelong stigma. A shameful stigma. How will she be later? And I don't understand you at all. What do you want? To achieve with your conversations? My daughter won't tell you anything. You don't even have to try. You've never had such a trusting relationship that Masha shares anything with you. We'll see about that, Victor exclaimed. And on the same day, he refuted his wife's assumptions. Masha, who was overwhelmed by too much, couldn't stand the stress. And when Victor started questioning her, she burst into tears. She felt a strong, reliable father's shoulder in him, which the girl always missed so much. It's not my fault that they're always smacking me. She was sobbing. It is already impossible to walk through the school calmly. It feels like I'm the only one we have complete. You'd think I was the only one. It's horrible. I should have lost some weight. I don't understand why I started gaining weight so suddenly. I don't eat much anyway, but she's still fat as a cow. Weight problems were associated with hormonal changes. And at Masha's age, this is absolutely normal. It's just that neither she nor the violent teenagers who just wanted to humiliate someone understood this and did not want to understand it. Why are you so upset? Victor comforted Masha. Everything will be fine, Mom. And I will find a wonderful clinic for you. You'll heal up. You'll come out of there as good as new. And everything will get better over time. As for your classmates or whoever is hurting you, don't pay attention to them. They're just fools, and they're not worth it. Immediately after Masha was admitted to the hospital, Victor began to insist on transferring the girl to another school. There's nothing for her to do among these cattle. He was indignant. What good can she learn from them? Look how they brought the girl down, almost to a mental hospital. Now, God willing, at least the weight and diet will be restored, because there is still work to do on the psyche. No. School is a great way out. Some kind of gymnasium, where there is an adequate team, and the children of our circle are learning. They would never dream of offending someone because of their appearance. Because in a normal society, people are valued for their brains and abilities, not for their pretty face and slender figure. Irina doubted the correctness of such a decision. She thought Victor was spoiling his stepdaughter too much. On the one hand, this is, of course, a good thing. because, thanks to the current situation, the man has clearly demonstrated that he is capable of becoming a good father. But on the other hand, aren't you pushing the situation too much? Irina asked. Don't you think Masha might get lost? And what does that mean, our circle? Don't turn your nose up yourself either. For example, I don't consider myself the wife of an oligarch. And you're far from an oil tycoon. Transfer to a gymnasium or private school. School is too serious a decision. I think it's wrong to take it like that spontaneously. What if it gets worse? Masha can't handle the knowledge. And the children, they can be violent everywhere. It doesn't depend on money at all. Because you said that, as if the richer a person is, the better he is. But that's not really the case. And it all, is wait for Masha to be discharged first. And let's ask her if she wants to go to a new school or not. The girl spent several months in the hospital. And during this time, I was very far behind in the program. So when my daughter got out of the hospital, the homeroom teacher called Irina Gennadyevna to her place for a conversation. You understand that your daughter doesn't have time to catch up on all this, she sighed. Svetlana Mikhailovna, gazing intently into the woman's eyes. She was shaking some textbooks and pamphlets in front of Irina's face, in which Irina did not understand anything. It turns out that in this way, Svetlana Mikhailovna wanted to visually demonstrate how much the guys had gone through during this time, and how much Masha has to catch up. I think homeschooling is your only option. The teacher sighed languidly. Unless, of course, the girl doesn't get pregnant at all in the second year. I understand that you have a difficult family situation, and it's hard for me to tell you all this. But Masha was in the hospital for more than a quarter, and as far as I understand, it is unknown when she will be able to go to school at all. We need to face the truth. I think that you understand everything perfectly well. There was only one thing Irina didn't understand: how is it possible to be so cruel and indifferent? The woman couldn't wrap her head around it. This Svetlana Mikhailovna has been working with children for so many years. She was indignant when she retold their conversation to Victor. Does she really give a damn about them that much? But that's not normal. It's not human, after all. Victor reminded me of his offer, and Irina realized that she didn't seem to have a choice. Rather than leave your daughter in this shithole, it's better to try to get her settled in someplace more decent. And Masha, as it turned out, is all for it. As soon as the girl was discharged from the hospital, she immediately stated that she did not want to return to school. Fuck them all, she snorted. Only the lazy one is not aware of my diagnosis, and that I was undergoing treatment. I'm even afraid to imagine what kind of name-calling they'll come up with for me now. Don't worry, Victor smiled. Mom and I have already taken care of everything. You will to study at a new school, and to catch up, we'll hire tutors for you. Masha couldn't believe that she would no longer have to endure the bullying of her classmates. Everything else that happened in her life resembled some kind of wonderful fairy tale. The staff at the new school was very different from the old one. The children were completely different, and the relationship between them was built differently. Finally, the girl had real friends with whom she could share her most intimate things, and her mother began to treat her differently. Masha didn't feel like herself anymore, abandoned and lonely. Until recently, she could not have imagined that everything in her life would turn out this way. Finally, Masha didn't have to be afraid of classmates and meeting them. She went to school every morning with joy. There were so many interesting things there. Primarily, of course, communication with new friends, with whom Masha was inseparable. Irina no longer had to worry about her daughter. She knew for sure that everything was fine with the girl now. Now it was possible to think about yourself without a twinge of conscience. The woman remembered that she and Victor wanted a child together, and she was about to go to the doctor to be examined. But, as it turned out, this was no longer necessary. Fate is all about everything. I took care of it. At the reception, Irina found out that she was pregnant. And that was another piece of good news in addition to the ones that had been pouring out of the cornucopia on the family lately. Finally, all the troubles are over. And Irina's. Victor and Masha had the opportunity to enjoy ordinary family happiness. Which one they? Everyone has been missing so much lately because of the constant twists and turns and events. That could have been avoided if trust and mutual understanding had prevailed in the family from the beginning.